So as of recently, I've managed to jaunt my way over to the movie theater and watch two of the summer's hottest new horror movies, A Quiet Place Day 1 and Longlegs. And while I was looking forward to one of them, the other one I can't say as much. So I thought I'd get on this platform with my infinite wisdom and share my thoughts on both the films. Well, I don't really have much to say here. This movie really is just fine. I mean, if you're into some schlocky horror, then yeah, I guess I recommend. This movie is obviously a prequel to the first two films, as it takes place on the first day of the alien invasion. The film stars Lupita Nyong'o, and Joseph Quinn is directed by Michael Samosky. What to say? I don't know. This movie is just really average. There's nothing that's really inherently bad with the acting, cinematography, the plot, anything overall. It just comes off as very cookie cutter. Now, keep in mind, I really am not the biggest fan of the first two Quiet Place movies. Although I think they are better than this movie, I as well just think they're whatever, personally. With that being said, I did go into this movie with expectations set minimal, and yeah, they really did not exceed my minimal expectations. I personally think that it would have been cool to see the effects of the alien invasion on the government infrastructure, but instead the movie just relies its focus on the main character Sammy, and for that reason it doesn't really explore any interesting topics. Now, I am pretty unfamiliar with the director's previous work. I do know he directed Pig back in 2021, starring Nicolas Cage, who we'll get to in just a little bit. But judging just purely by this film, I really am not a big fan of his style. I don't see any of his personal directing choices coming out in the filmmaking. Instead, it feels pretty assembly line and turned out for a big budget movie this summer. Again, I really don't have much to say about this movie. It's whatever. I originally gave it a 6 on Letterboxd. I probably would dunk it down to a 5 or I don't know, 5.5. Let's give it that 5.5 out of 10. Okay, now let's talk about a film I actually kind of want to talk about. Longlegs. I'm sure it's a film you guys are all familiar with. It's this summer's big horror film, directed by Oz Perkins and starring Nicolas Cage and Micah Monroe. The film follows Lee Harker, an FBI agent who is currently on the pursuit of the serial killer Longlegs. I mean, without getting the spoilers, that's about as basic of a description I can give. The movie throughout most of its runtime is a very captivating murder mystery. Keep in mind I said most of the time. Comparable to the likes of Seven and other stuff. But I do have some problems with the movies that mostly occur in the third act. The first two acts of this film, I really had no problems. I overall would say the performances are really well done, especially the main character Lee, played by Micah Monroe, and of course the wonderful Longlegs, played by Sir Nicolas Cage. The cinematography as well is very well done. I found a lot of shots very entrancing, and as well, one of the standouts was definitely the editing for me. The editing on top of the cinematography and performances does really establish this very, very creepy tone. Now, I really don't want to get into spoilers, but like I kind of had teased, all of my problems with this film mainly do occur in the third act. For the first two acts of the film, the storytelling is expertly written as you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this story. Each scene in the movie manages to give you a little piece of the puzzle, so you are constantly trying to piece together this puzzle while the movie keeps you entranced inside the narrative. That's a clear-cut sign of good storytelling, but the third act completely ruins this. Instead of the movie giving you subtle clues onto what the hell's going on, they instead opt to just tell and show you exactly what happened in the entire movie. It was such a drastic shift, I was notably kind of confused in the theater. And this all does culminate into an ending that I've seen a lot of people bash online. And I think I like it more than other people, but I do as well have one major problem with it. I don't want to get into spoilers, but all I'll say is the main character learns what the hell is going on, and she still lets someone become a victim to it. Similar to Quiet Place, I really was not familiar with Oz Perkins' previous work. It was cool to find out that he was the son of the main character from Psycho. But overall, I would say he did a pretty good job directing the film. I can certainly see his vision a lot better than good old Michael over there. And I really have not mentioned, but it is uncanny how much Nicolas Cage carries this film. Honestly, my biggest takeaway from this film is that Nicolas Cage would play a great Professor Pig in the DCU. James Gunn, give him a ring. Overall, the first two acts of this film are strong enough to make me say overall I did enjoy it, but that third act for me really does drag it down a lot. I gave it a 7 on Letterboxd. For now, I'll keep it at that. I feel like, though, if I do watch this movie again, I'll probably like it less and dump that down. But sure, 7 for now is fine.